Okay, today I'm going to show you how to build a bicycle quickly and easily and the right way. And a couple of tips along the way. It's going to make bike building go very fast. First thing you have to know about building a BMX bike or any other bike is you start from the top and work your way down. Start with handlebars, seat, frame, fork, wheels, cranks, chain, pedals, done. Before you get started is stage all of your parts. Frame, fork, seat and seat post, bars, stem, headset, cranks, bottom bracket, sprocket, wheels, pegs, chain, and pedals. There you go. You have everything. Make sure you stage your parts the way you need them to be. So you're going to start with the top of the bike first. So we're going to arrange everything we need here first, and then move to the bottom half of the bike. So that way we're ready to go. Also, when I'm putting a bike together, I like to use these nitrile gloves. These are sort of helpful. Keep your hands from getting greasy. We have all our parts staged, top to bottom. And we're going to start with the frame. What we want to do is prep the frame and make sure all your tools are staged. So what I do is place all my tools that I need in one place. Everything I need is right here. First thing I said is prep your frame. You want to put grease into your bottom bracket, your seat tube, and your head tube. A little bit of grease in the frame, top and bottom, just a squirt like that. A squirt into the seat tube area, and a squirt right down in here in the bottom bracket. Get a piece of paper towel and just go right around. All the places where you're going to install your bearings are going to be grease. First thing that goes in the frame, headset bearings. Place the bearings into the frame. These go right in. Get your fork. Prep your fork. Once the bearings are in the frame and the fork is through, you'll have this part to your A headset. It has a little cup. What you want to do with that is, that's going to be 90 degrees to the front. It's going to be to the 3 o'clock or the 9 o'clock position. So put the cup to the side. That's so that force to the front or back of the bike does not push that apart. Slide down your top cap and spacers. When you put your stem on, you want about 1/8 of an inch of the stem above the forks because that will allow you to get compression and make a good seat. It's a lot easier to assemble the stem to the forks by putting the bars in first. So make sure you line up the bars where you've got the knurling evenly with the front of the stem. Place the top cap on. The most important thing when you're tightening down the faceplate is that you go cross pattern like this. That will ensure that you get even pressure all across the faceplate. But it's also, to check that, look along the edges of the stem to make sure that it is perfectly even, top and bottom. So we'll give it a little tighten there, and a little tighten here, and then a tighten here, and a tighten there. Check it, and we make sure that it's smooth all the way around, or it's even all the way around. Like a 1/8 inch or so right around there, so that you can still get some compression. And this is pretty much pressed all the way down. So that's the way you want it to go. Tighten the compression bolt down before you tighten the back of the stem. because otherwise it pushes pressure on the fork and then you can't turn the compression bolt. Give it a spin, make sure it can still spin and that it's not binding. When you're tightening the back, also use an alternating pattern. It'll make sure that the force is evenly distributed between both sides. Tighten that. Tighten that. Now, the seat. Very simple, slide it in. But the frame has been greased inside there. So now, this is the first half of the bike. The top half. We're working our way from the top down to the bottom. So now we flip. So here's a tip that you use. Place either your nut or your bolt on, drop your peg over, and then screw it right up in there. You don't want to use the ratchet at this point because when you're getting there, the bolts into the frame or nuts onto the axle, you don't want to cross thread them. So you want to just do it hand-wise because that avoids cross threading or damaging the threads. And we're going to tighten the front wheel down. On here, when you flip it to the left, it's loose. Flip it to the right, it's tight. So that's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So that's right, this will tighten. Get the front wheel on, and it's tight. Again, we place all of our tools, same spot, all the time, so we always have them ready for use. The next thing I'm going to do is install the bottom bracket. I've greased it up, and what I did is I went to the hardware store and I built a bearing cup press, just out of a thick bolt and 2 big washers. So I just take it apart, get my bottom bracket, put your bearing over, put it through here, to the other side. Place your spacer inside there to keep your cranks from collapsing the bearings. We're going to tighten this up from both sides and just press the bearings right into the frame. Let's just get 2 wrenches and just start cranking them down and work it around, and this will install your bottom bracket. Yep. There we go. Flush. A couple of bucks at Home Depot. You have a bearing cup pressed. Get your cranks, your sprocket, and your spacers. If you put your bottom bracket in correctly, this will slide right through. Okay, we've got the bottom bracket through, and we want to put the sprocket onto the right-hand arm. This is a standard right-hand drive bicycle. Just simply put your anchor bolt in there. What I usually do is just put it on kind of light so that the sprocket hole will line up with the spindle. I just tighten it the rest of the way down. Put in my bolt. I won't tighten this all the way down because I don't want it to pull the spindle over too far. On the other side, I'm going to place my cone washer and a couple of spacers, and I've got this down to where I can have about 1/4 to 1/2 inch or so here of space based on my my spacers and everything, so that way my cranks don't slam into my chain stays. With the 48 spline, it's a little tricky just because you want to make sure that your cranks are level. Then slowly tighten both sides, alternating to bring them in. generally a little closer than I like it to be, but it is even, and so it's ready to go. Hitchback wheel. Back pegs and back nuts. I'll switch over to the 19 millimeter. The nut into the like that, and then I'll simply push that on and hand tighten it. Now I'm not going to tighten it all the way because I got to put the chain on, and so you want the back wheel to be loose so you can pull the chain tight. Now I'll put the pedals on just because I don't have the chain on, so I can freely rotate that. And what you'll notice is there are ridges or a score or a line on the left pedal. The right pedal will always be smooth. So that way you know which side they go into, because the left pedal is going to be threaded the opposite way. Because when you're pedaling forward, if it were threaded righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, pedaling forward would loosen your left pedal. So that's why they back threaded it. So this will go on traditional, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. That's important to remember, even if you're running bossless cranks and you think, well, it doesn't matter because I have a spline drive, I put whatever arm is on whatever side, you will end up loosening up your pedal when you pedal. The last thing we have to do, put the chain on. I generally like to run the rounded side on the inside. You'll notice there's a flat side and a rounded side, the back side. So, chain tool. You can see here I just drive the pin right into the, here's another little tip. Bend your chain side to side, and then it'll kind of unseize where you've sealed it up with the chain breaker. Make sure your chain is tight. Usually I stick something in there, a wrench or something to pry it back. Make sure I have this set to right. Tighten this up. There. Just going to straighten that out. And we are done. So as a quick review, when we build a bike, we start at the top and work our way down. So put the frame and fork, headset into the frame, make sure it's prepped with grease, handlebars and stem, seat, flip it, wheels, bottom bracket, crank, pedals, last, chain, and you're ready to go ride. All right, go build your bike.